Just like you, I truly wanted a longer life for the Sega Dreamcast. But in March 2001, Sega officially exited the hardware business. Or did they? There's been a lot of talk about how the original Xbox console was, if not a full-blown Sega console, a spiritual successor to the Dreamcast. I'll explain the evidence why this theory has gained so much popularity over recent years, and we will see if we can debunk some of the stories and myths surrounding the connection between Sega's final console and Microsoft's first. Hey, welcome! If you have seen my stuff before, you are fully aware of my absolute love for the Sega Dreamcast. The games are fast, fun, arcade first, action-packed, with enough variety to satisfy fans across multiple genres. But on top of that, I love the hardware, the risks, the quirks, and advancements that Sega made with Dreamcast, including a modem with online multiplayer, the brilliance that is the VMU. There's not much that I can fault Sega for when it comes to this console. Now, the loss of consumer and fan trust over the Sega CD, 32X, Sega Saturn, along with the inner turmoil between Sega of Japan and Sega of America, the cancellation of the Black Belt project, the 3DFX lawsuit, but that's another story for another time. If you want another video about my love for the Dreamcast, I have it right here, but wait till after we're done here. Now let's go over why this theory has been going around that the Xbox was essentially the Dreamcast 2. Most people point to Sega's exclusive games, the Windows CE integration with the Dreamcast, the arcade hardware post Dreamcast, and of course the overall design of the console, features, controller, and hardware. First, let's talk about the games. At the same time that the Dreamcast was being discontinued, Sega executives were busy in the backroom stealing exclusive games for different platforms. The most famous and well publicized of these was Sega's 11-game deal with the soon-to-be released Xbox. Sega GT 2002, Jet Set Radio Future, Panzer Dragoon Orta, Crazy Taxi 3, House of the Dead 3, Toe Jam and Earl 3, Gun Valkyrie, and World Series Baseball would all end up being exclusive titles for the Xbox. But that's it. Those are all the exclusive titles that Xbox got. If you notice, that was less than 11. In all, Sega did publish about 50 games for the original Xbox though. All right, done deal. 50 games for the original Xbox. That makes the Xbox the Dreamcast 2. We did it! We did it, boys. We can all go home. Wrap it up. Oh, what? What's that? PS2? How many? What? Over 150? Over 150 games? Virtua Fighter 4 was exclusive? Virtua Tennis was exclusive? The entire Yakuza series was exclusive? I think when you break it down, Sega was trying to leverage the platforms that would make them the most money. They got that money from the big Microsoft deal, put Sonic on Nintendo's console, where it would sell best. But ultimately, they put nearly everything on the console with the biggest player base, the PlayStation 2. The console often blamed with killing the Dreamcast. Isn't it ironic, don't you think? A little too ironic? It's not great! But, the Dreamcast had a Windows CE logo on it. Microsoft owns Windows. The Dreamcast ran on Windows. Case closed. Xbox is the Dreamcast 2. Confirmed. Wait, what? It didn't run on Windows? It was on a disk? Nope. While the plan was to build the entire operating system on Windows CE, it never actually fully panned out. Sega ended up leaning on its own native SDK to optimize performance for the Dreamcast. While there was the Windows CE SDK that could play games on the Dreamcast also, games that were developed using it had to have the entire operating system on the disk itself, and it booted into it from the Dreamcast and then ran from the disk. This impacted performance and load times for any games that actually used it, which weren't that many. Funny enough, Microsoft's Windows CE team that were working with Sega was made up of several former employees of 3DO with hardware experience that were working to build their own Microsoft console. Right after the Dreamcast was launched, Microsoft was already seriously looking at developing their own console. And while the Windows CE team with console experience seemed like the team that was going to lead it, it turns out there was a second team inside of Microsoft that was working to build a console as well. This was a small bootstrap team of members of the DirectX division. Otto Burks, the head of the original DirectX team to start the Xbox project, stated on his blog, "At the time, Microsoft had a partnership with Sega to ship Windows CE on Sega's platform. Sega already had their own development tools, infrastructure, and content development pipeline though, so CE brought nothing fundamentally new or compelling for game developers. Windows CE had a very limited implementation of DirectX, so there was little incentive for a Sega developer to use anything other than Sega's own tools. So not only did the team that was working with Sega not make the Xbox, the team that did was in a contentious battle with them internally and ultimately won the job to create the Xbox. There's evidence that it caused an even bigger rift internally, as no version of DirectX ever shipped with Windows CE from that point forward. Further, the two consoles are built on entirely different architecture with virtually no similarities. The Dreamcast used an Hitachi RISC processor, more common in mobile-first devices, while the Xbox was built on a Pentium 3 x86 CISC processor that used a modified version of Windows 2000 as its operating system. While Sega did exit the consumer hardware business, it had a problem on its hands because it was still an arcade machine powerhouse. While there were still some variations of the Naomi boards Sega was using for its arcade machines and the Naomi 2, they did still need a future hardware solution moving forward. And since Sega didn't have the robust hardware team that they once had, they had to look at partnerships elsewhere. As the awesome MVG pointed out several years ago, love his channel. One of these solutions was to create the Sega Chihiro, which was essentially a beefed up Xbox. It even had a GD-ROM drive on it. So Sega started making Xbox machines for their arcades. This was an aha moment. But, before you blow the whistle, at the same time, Sega was working with Nintendo to create the Triforce. What an awesome name for an arcade machine. And guess what it was based on? The GameCube with a GD-ROM drive. These solutions were obvious because Sega was developing for this hardware anyway. Why not utilize it for their arcade machines? All right, forget everything I said. I have the proof. The overall design, the ambition, and especially the controller definitely take heavy influence from the Dreamcast. The console has 4 controller ports, just like the Dreamcast. No, wrong picture. Network connectivity. No, stop. There we go. Okay, the controller. Seamus Blatchley's tweets from the mid-2010s showcase extensive influence from the Dreamcast, including a screen on the memory card that inserts into the controller. But these concepts would have been still in the middle of the Dreamcast life. I'm guessing mid-2000. And when we look at the final product of the Xbox, we do see some of that inspiration come through, especially in the controllers of both consoles. There is the ABXY orientation, the analog triggers, although Microsoft used potentiometers instead of magnets, Hall effect triggers. Wait. I found it. I found the proof. I found the proof that the Xbox is the Dreamcast 2. And perhaps the most brow-furrowing choice by Microsoft when developing this console, there's 2 top-loading memory card slots on every controller. Why? On the Dreamcast, these were used for VMUs and rumble packs and a microphone to talk to your C-Man. You know I bought C-Man. Here's the thing, the Xbox had a hard drive to save your games on the hard drive, and the controllers had built-in rumble, but they still sold a memory card that could be inserted into that controller with the sole purpose of taking your save files to another console. Not a single other peripheral was ever released for this thing. This is the most perplexing thing that leads me to think that, okay, maybe they got a little bit of extra inspiration from the Dreamcast. This is the proof. We did it, boys. There it is. It's the 2 memory card slots in the top of the controller from the Dreamcast to the Xbox. That solidifies it. We solved the mystery. Long live the Dreamcast. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. Check out my other videos. Share with a friend. Share it on like your Facebook page or Reddit. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the flip side. Cheers.